Hello, my friends. Welcome to PMP exam question, anatomy and strategy. I know lots of you are getting ready for your big day on the PMP exam. And one of the best things you can do for yourself is work with as many great, diverse questions as possible. So today we're going into a smattering of questions. We're going to start off in the world of hybrid and we're going to make our way through. You have approximately 75 seconds, which is a minute and 15 to answer the questions. I will display the questions on the screen. I'll give you a fair amount of time to think about the answer, just on par with how the exam would be. So let's jump straight into the very first question. The product owner and the team were discussing the user stories plan for a hybrid project, which involves both agile and traditional methodologies. During this discussion, the team pointed out that none of the stories had acceptance criteria defined. They recognized that these criteria were needed to define acceptance tests for each user story and deliverable, ensuring that the work meets customer expectations. However, they could not agree on when exactly these acceptance criteria and tests should be defined. Ideally, when should the acceptance tests be defined for a successful hybrid project? A, during the sprint review session. B, before release planning begins. C, during the iterational sprint. D, in refinement before development. All right, your time is up. Let's take a look at the answer. I'll show you some rationalization that will help. So think about it. Acceptance tests should be defined for a successful project, be it in the world of agile or hybrid, ideally before you begin the work. So let's use the process of elimination here. A, during the sprint review session, that's crazy. That means it's when the customer is checking the deliverable that you're defining the acceptance criteria. That would make sense. B, before release planning begins. Well, think about when release planning could begin. This is way out, probably before you even begin your iterations. So that doesn't make sense. Too early. C, during the iterational sprint. Think about it. As you're doing the work, that's when you're working on acceptance tests. Doesn't make sense. So the best answer to this, my friends, is D. Okay. The best answer is D. And again, I'm going to put the rationale on the screen. You can hit the pause button and you can go through the detailed rationalization for each question. Okay. So the answer for this first one is D. Let's go to the next question. Question 2. A hybrid project team started working on a new requirement from the customer, which necessitated using a new highly complex technology. The team was unsure if the chosen technology would fulfill the requirements due to its untested nature. They needed to find a way to reduce the uncertainty around the chosen technology and gather more information before fully committing to it. Which of the following techniques will help them gain clarity and reduce risk in this situation? Is it A, review, B, retrospective, C, risk-based spike, D, sprint? All right. Time up. If you do need more time, don't hesitate to hit the pause button, but you got to get quicker in reading. Remember, we've already taken a significant amount of time to read the question. So the best answer here, my friends, is C. It's risk-based spike. It says, which of the following techniques will help gain clarity and reduce risk? So the review, that's too late. It does help you, but it helps you in a retroactive way. The retrospective is not bad, but you're trying to understand the situation, reduce uncertainty, and it's not the sprint. The best answer is risk based spike. Let's take a very quick look at the options given here. So, reviews are done to assess work completed, retrospectives are focused on reflecting on past work. Risk based spike is the best option. This is a time boxed investigation that is aimed at reducing uncertainty and exploring potential solutions. Sprint is a time box. And while it is good to have your time box, it's too broad an approach to handle the uncertainty regarding new technology. So the best answer is C. All right, let's go to the next one. Number 3. The development team was working on a complex project that required integrating many intricate parts and subsystems. To address this challenge, they decided to commit to integrating the product every few hours during the development process, an adaptation of the Agile practice of continuous integration. Considering the complexity of the product, in what way would this practice be most beneficial for the team? A. To increase the team velocity and maximize team capacity. B. To reduce the length of the iteration as short as possible. C. The product would be in near releasable state at any time. D. To gain customer acceptance and the end of the sprint review. All right, your time is just about up. And remember, you always have the option to mute me reading the question so that you can read the question yourself and get used to processing it as you're reading, because you kind of have a head start as I'm reading these questions. But let's jump in to the right answer. So if you take a look at all the options, how would the practice of continuous integration be most beneficial? A, increase team velocity and maximize team capacity. That is so far removed from what we're talking about. You know, what continuous integration is all about is ensuring that as the work is being done, it is being integrated with previous existing PSIs or potentially shippable increments. So it's not A. B, to reduce the length of the iteration. Why would you want to do that? That is not the mindset in the world of Agile. Remember, when we have an iteration of a particular length, it's okay to keep that iteration, that time box. Remember, Agile is all about what you can fit in the box, right? How much scope can you fit in the box? Which scope can you fit in the box? So it's not about a race of time like it is in the world of sometimes predictive. So that's not the best option. D says to gain customer acceptance and the end of the sprint review. That doesn't really make sense. And besides, it's not a given that continuous integration always equates to getting customer acceptance and getting to the end of the sprint review. There's no rush for that. So the best option, my friends, is C. The product would be in a near releasable state at any time. Here are the rationalizations. Again, hit the pause button if you want to go through each one in detail. But the one you want to focus on is continuous integration allows the team to consistently integrate and test components, ensuring that the product is always in a near releasable state. This provides flexibility and ensures that any integration issues are caught early. Let's go to our next one. Question 4. A hybrid project team was planning the deliverables for a 2-week iteration representing a sprint. The Scrum Master, who was also acting as the team facilitator, was helping to reconcile the expectations of the business, represented by the product owner and the team. It was agreed that the team would complete the deliverables before the completion of the time box sprint, and the product owner would not change the requirements related to those deliverables during the sprint. Why is this agreement important in the context of Agile projects? A, to ensure there's reciprocal commitment from both ends. B, to incorporate flexibility as a value in sprint planning. C, to ensure that the agreed goals can always be met. D, so that both the business and the team get what they want. Take your time. All right. Hit the pause button if you need more time, but your time is up. So think about it. Why is the agreement important? D, let's take it from the bottom up. And just so you get into the mindset for the exam, I want you to remember that on your exam, you have tools to highlight and cross out things. So I'm going to use a highlighter to highlight the things that are not the best so that the team and the business can get what they want. This, in and of itself, is not really a good agile approach. It's really more about the customer. It's not about the team getting what they want. Remember, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable product. The Agile Manifesto says that. So D is not even in the spirit of Agile. And that's not why we have the agreement, by the way. C, to ensure that agreed goals can, watch the word, this is where it gets wrong, always be met. You do not have a guarantee in any framework that agreed goals can always be met. There's always an element of doubt. So absolutes like that need to be avoided on the exam. When it says always, never, words like that, you got to look out for that. B, to incorporate flexibility as a value in sprint planning. Now, while flexibility isn't bad, when we are in sprint planning, we're trying to narrow down the multiple options we have in the backlog. So that is not really the theme in sprint planning. Yes, there is a measure of flexibility, but the agreement is not for that. Let's read the question again. I'm going to highlight some aspects. It says, agreed that the team would complete the deliverable before the time box runs out. All right. That actually doesn't sound as flexible when it comes to the time box, right? And it says, and the product owner would not change the requirements. So, in some way, you're not really being as flexible anymore in this context. You're locking it down so that once we're airborne and the sprint is on its way, you're not going to have crazy, needless change. That is not to say that change cannot happen in a sprint, But we, as much as possible, we try to discourage needless changes. And that's our commitment to work within the sprint to get those features, requests, stories, whatever they are, done. So it is not B. Okay? It doesn't make sense in the context of what we're talking about. The best answer instead, my friends, is A. It is to ensure there is reciprocal commitment. Now, if you were on the exam, you could outright cancel these. You could just cross them out and allow yourself focus on the answer. I want you to understand that what we're doing here is rehearsing for your big day. And I want to teach you how to think. And part of the thinking process is to rapidly read the question and rapidly disqualify the options. So the rate or speed at which I'm tackling these is greatly multiplied. If this was in the exam, I would have been done at least 5 minutes ago. So you got to understand the logic and the rationale, and then you got to be able to repeat it and apply it to your own exam situation. Okay? So that's it for question 4. Let's go to question 5. Over to question 5. And there's the rationale for question 4. Let me get myself out of the shot just so that you can read everything on the screen. All right, let's move on. Question 5. The Agile team was looking for an effective way to communicate the status and progress of the ongoing hybrid project to both internal stakeholders and customers. They wanted a method that was clear, transparent, and easy to understand without requiring lengthy discussions or extensive documentation. What is the best way to achieve this in a hybrid project setup? Is it A, easy to use and understand visual displays and information radiators? B, weekly reporting to a high degree of detail with key performance indicators? C, reviews with the customer at the end of each iteration? Or D, burn down charts and other artifacts from either methodology? And our time is up, my friends. So, again, using the process of elimination, you can see which of these options makes the most sense. Weekly reporting to a high degree of detail does not guarantee transparency, right? It does not guarantee easy to understand without requiring lengthy discussions. So, a weekly reporting approach sounds like a lengthy discussion. Reviews with the customer at the end of each iteration is not as transparent because they don't have insights until they get to the end of the iteration. And D, burn down charts with other artifacts from either methodology. Not bad, but again, artifacts. What is the nature of those artifacts? They may be bulky, they may take time. So we want something that is transparent and easy. And therefore, the best answer here, my friends, is actually option A. Okay. Easy to use, easy to understand visual displays, Kanban boards, things like that. And they are available 24/7. Dashboards, things like that. Now, while burn charts are not bad, remember we're always looking for the best answer. So the most inclusive answer, the best answer is actually A. Burn charts are not bad, but they're often used to show remaining work rather than overall project status, and they may not give the complete picture compared to a Kanban board, dashboards, and things such as that. So when we talk about easy to understand visual displays that would include any kind of chart in the world of Agile, and then more. So that's why that is the best answer. All right, let's go to the next one. Question 6. An Agile team discovered during the first couple of iterations that there was a gap between the expectations of the stakeholders and the deliverables produced by the team. The stakeholders felt that the features were not aligning with their vision, while the team believed they were building the product as intended. Which of the following actions would be most effective in reducing the gap between stakeholder expectations and the team's deliverables? A. Ask the product owner to spend more time with the customers. B. Involve the stakeholders in product definition, development, and demos. C. Increase the number of acceptance tests written for each requirement. D. Appoint a business analyst to function as a single point of contact to represent the stakeholders' needs and expectations. All right, our time is up. And let's examine the options. So, if there's a gap between the understanding of the the stakeholders' expectations, and what the team delivers, certain things will give you an edge. Let's take a look at the options in detail. The answer is B, to involve stakeholders in production, in the product definition, development, and demos. But why is A not that great? It could help, but it's more effective to directly involve the stakeholders. C, to increase the number of acceptance tests. That could improve quality, but it's not a given to address the issue of aligning the overall product direction. And D, appoint a business analyst. A business analyst could help, but without stakeholder involvement, there's still a risk of miscommunication. So when you take a look at these exam questions, there's a gradation of the best, and then good, but not the best, and then somewhere in the middle, and then ultimately bad. You usually have a bad option in the questions, maybe even two, and it always boils down to two, especially on the more difficult questions. All right, let's move on to the next one. Question 7. You are leading a distributed hybrid project team that is struggling to collaborate effectively, and many team members are unclear about the project deliverables. Additionally, there are misunderstandings due to cultural and time zone differences. Which action can you take as a team facilitator to provide some help to the team? A. Get the product owner involved in the solution and vote on the process. B. Schedule daily scrums at a time convenient for all locations. C. Cancel the project since the team is unable to align their work process. D. Reprioritize the features with the product owner and team involvement. All right, my friends, our time is up. I hope you're using the process of elimination to remove those options that are not that great. Let's take a look at the breakdown. The best answer, my friend, is all about the team timing. Team timing is crucial. If the team is not able to work as one, we have a problem. And that's why we got to schedule the daily scrums at a convenient time for all locations. So think about it. If we got the product owner involved in the solution, while it's not their wheelhouse, they can help clarify product requirements. And for that reason, you want to work on your role, your lane, which is solving team collaboration issues. Just remember that on the exam, You will get questions that test you as a leader. And as a leader, it's your job to deal with the collaboration issues, to get in front of conflict, to ensure team alignment, and things such as that. So the best answer, again, is B for that reason. Canceling the project is rather extreme and unrealistic, and reprioritizing features, it could address workload concerns and other issues, but it doesn't address the underlying issues of collaboration. Okay. So daily scrums are a sync point for the team members. It's also a vehicle for daily socialization where behaviors can be observed and trust can be built. So we want to, as much as possible, ensure that the team syncs up. Remember the use of the daily scrum. The daily scrum is not for management, and the PMI, they make it very clear that we should not look at the daily scrum as a status meeting. In fact, that's a recipe for getting questions on the daily scrum wrong. So I want to keep that in mind. Okay. All right. Let's go to our next question. Number 8. One of the users of a product is very knowledgeable and has strong opinions about the technology used in the product. As a result, they often get into conflict with the product team, especially during demos and discussions. Which of the following is the best approach to address this situation and leverage the user's expertise? A. Invite the user to technical brainstorming sessions to generate more ideas. B. Tell the user that technical decisions should be best left with the team. C. Appoint the user as the technical architect for the product. D. Showcase the product to this user to generate early feedback. All right, my friends. So let's take a look at this question with more finesse to the options. Some options are better than others. Taking a look at the answers that we have here. You have A, invite the user to technical brainstorming sessions to generate more ideas. By involving the user in brainstorming sessions, you can make them feel heard while also directing their input into constructive discussions. This helps minimize conflict and allows the team to leverage the user's knowledge effectively. But let's contrast that to D, which I know some folks might have chosen. Showcase the product to this user to generate early feedback. Now, while early feedback is useful, without integrating them into the decision making process, their concerns may still lead to conflicts rather than productive discussions. B, tell the user that technical decisions should be left with the team. This approach may escalate conflict and alienate the user. And C, appoint the user as technical architect. Giving the user this role could undermine the authority of the actual technical team. So it's important to remember that in the world of Agile, there's still governance. But here you have an option of bringing someone in early to generate ideas. And, in the world of the PMI, our general approach is to welcome people in as early as possible to get feedback. And we can take that feedback or those ideas and we can use them to generate value, facilitate the project even better. If you wait until you're showcasing the product at the sprint review, all of those ideas that could have been generated will not be in the product. So you're bringing the person in reactively. Take a look at it. Number one, they're a user of the product. And one of the things we do in the world of the PMI is to do brainstorming sessions, we do brainwriting, we do focus groups, facilitated workshops. And who is in the workshops? Think about that. It's not just the team, right? It's the users, it's the customer. And bringing them into that is, in the world of PMI, just business as usual. This is even a very vanilla flavored question because it does not tell you this is in the world of Agile or this is in the world of predictive. It just is a project, and you got to take it at hybrid face value. So think about it. They often get into conflict with the product team when? During demos. Hello, you are already doing that. Demos and discussions. So D, showcase the product to this user to generate early feedback. That is already being done. It's during the demo, right? It's during the sprint review. So it says which of the following is the best approach to address the situation and leverage the expertise. So if you chose option D, it's controversial, especially given the fact that we know this has not yielded a whole lot of progress, and there are arguments and disagreements. So the best option, my friend, is option D in this case. One more time, let's take a look at the rationalization. Okay. All right. We're almost at the midpoint of this review. Welcome back, my friends. Over the past number of minutes, we've been taking a look at a lot of questions for the PMP exam. If you are looking for training for the PMP exam, you can join my class on Udemy right now. Just go on down to tinyurl.com/elite PMP. If you're studying for the CAPM exam, you can also join me on Udemy. The program comes with in-depth reviews of the Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide, 7th edition, 6th edition, Agile, business analysis. We go pretty hard in business analysis on the Elite CAPM if you're taking a CAPM exam. But again, if PMP is your jam and you're looking for a very interesting and knowledgeable instructor, go to Elite PMP and sign up for training. And when you join, reach out and let me know you're on the program, and I'll give you whatever guidance and support you need. As part of that course, we also have lessons learned from students who are acing the test and giving feedback. All right. Question 9. Senior management of an organization was keenly following a product development activity and wanted updates. They requested the team provide a summary of the progress made during each iteration in the form of a sprint completion report. What is the best way for the team to handle this request without compromising the agile value of minimizing documentation? A. Inform management that agile methods rely on minimal documentation, hence it is not possible to provide such reports. B. The team facilitator or scrum master should help the team create appropriate indicators to make progress visible. C. Invite management to attend the sprint review meetings to see the product demo. D. Send a copy of the burn down chart to the senior management over email. All right, my friends, let's take a look at what answer is best. The best answer for this is for the team facilitator or scrum master to help create appropriate indicators. Creating indicators like visual dashboards, which can be shared with management, strikes a balance between providing transparency and maintaining Agile's focus on minimal documentation. Telling management I can't help you. That's not agile. It comes across as dismissive, could get you into more trouble, actually, and it doesn't address management's need for visibility. Anytime you get a question of management asking you for something, or some team member in distress, or some customer or stakeholder in distress, your job on the PMP exam is to solve that problem, not push back and say we don't do that. You got to come to some form of an agreement, some compromise, some joint understanding. So the best answer to this, my friends, is B. All right. We're going to take one final question, and this is question 10. Let's go to question 10. An agile team requires the services of a technical expert who can only be available on a part-time basis. The team is concerned that the part-time availability might impede their progress and raise this issue to the team facilitator. What is the best course of action for the team facilitator in response to this concern? A. Request the manager of the technical expert to make a full-time commitment. B. Escalate the matter to senior management and flag it as a risk. C. Meet with a technical expert along with the team to establish a working arrangement. D. Advise the team to address the issue on their own. All right, time is up. And let's take a look at the big reveal, the best answer. So, taking a look at this, A, it's not full time. They can only be available on a part time basis. So, A is redundant. It's just the same thing, right? Trying to do something different when you know this is not possible. It's a waste of an option. And you get many questions like that on the PMP exam where they tell you this cannot be done, right? Can only be available on a part-time basis. You see that? Let's go ahead and highlight it because this is very important. So if you get a question that says something like can only be available on a part-time basis, well, you can't choose option A because that doesn't make sense. You already know A is not going to work. C, meet with a technical expert is the best answer. B, escalate the matter is a mother may I kind of thing. We don't do that when we can find a solution ourselves. And D, advising the team to address the issue doesn't make sense. You're the team facilitator. So your job is to get common ground, consensus, and get people talking together. Be a bridge builder, be a servant leader. So the best answer, my friends, in this question is option C. Meet with a technical expert along with the team to establish a working agreement. By meeting with the technical expert and the team, a feasible working arrangement can be established that allows the team to make the best use of the expert's part-time availability, mitigating the risk and setting clear expectations. So, my friends, over the past number of minutes, about 30 minutes, going on 40, we've been taking a look at various questions on the PMP exam, but we've been going in deep. I've been giving you lots of time so that you really think about your choice and allowing you to learn. Now we're moving into what I call the money spinner questions. Because the money spinner questions are those where I give you a very small amount of time and I ask you for the answer pretty fast. So you actually don't have a whole lot of time on these questions like you did on the more difficult ones. In my mind, these are questions you should be able to answer quite easily. Okay. But nonetheless, it's a very good run through of some of the basic things that we often forget. So let's jump in to this next set of questions. I'm going to give you 10, and they're going to be all over the place, and it's going to go very quick. All right. Here we go. Here's your first question. You're working with a servant leader to create a document that shares the project vision, high-level information, and authorizes the project. Which of the following should you create? All right, your time is up. The best answer is B. That's the project charter. The project charter is created during the first process of project integration management, and that is the best answer. Okay, let's go to the next question. Next question. You are a project manager on a hybrid project using a predominantly agile approach and in the process of eliciting requirements. Which of the following outputs would you most likely derive? All right, your time is up, and the best answer and most sensible answer is a product backlog. Option A. Option A is the most sensible option. A product roadmap. This is something that should have been done prior. Burn charts show progress. So that doesn't come in here. Remember, what you're doing is you're drawing out the requirements. And it wouldn't be a requirements management plan because that's not an output of collecting the requirements or eliciting the requirements. The requirements management plan is an output of planning how to manage scope. Let's go to our next question. You are shortening the schedule by paying extra fees to expedite delivery of a special mechanical part to complete the project. Which scheduling technique is this? All right, your time is up. The best answer is A. It's crashing, paying to expedite delivery to activities on the critical path. That's crashing. Let's go to our next question. Your project metrics are as follows. Budget at completion is 50,000, earned value is 10,000, actual cost is 30,000, EAC is 60,000. What is the cost performance index? All right. Your time is up. By eyeballing this, you should be able to understand that CPI is not in dollars. So what I would have expected you to do is immediately disqualify A and B. And CPI, can it really be 30? You know what 30 means for CPI? That means you are getting $30 worth of work done for $1. That can't even be realistic. So just by eyeballing it and using common sense, you should be able to deduce that the best answer is D. But if you are going to apply the metrics, earned value divided by actual cost, that will give you 0.33. So there are many ways around these questions on the exam. Here's your next question. Your project metrics are as follows. PV, 40,000, EV, 10,000, actual cost 30,000, EAC 60,000. What is the schedule variance? All right, your time is up. So taking a look at these, there's some you can disqualify. You can disqualify those that are suspicious, such as C and D. They have no dollar signs. Now, taking a look at the actual values, you should apply the formula schedule variance is equal to earned value minus planned value. And that will give you $10,000 minus $40,000, which will give you minus $30,000. Okay. Let's take a look at some rapid fire. Are these metrics good, bad, or something else? SPI 0.5. CV, $5. SV, minus $50. CPI, 1.01. SPI, 3.09. And CPI, 0.65. Let's take a look at the answers. An SPI of 0.5 means you are behind schedule. CV, $5 is not bad. That's actually under budget, so that's good. SV, minus $50 is bad. You're behind schedule. CPI, 1.01, that's good. You're under budget. SPI, 3.09, that's suspicious. That means you're getting work done at 300% schedule-wise. It's concerning. Now, you are ahead of schedule, but you are suspiciously ahead of schedule. CPI, 0.65, that is over budget and not ideal. Over the past number of minutes, my friends, we've been taking a look at questions for the PMP exam. Welcome back, my friends. We are now moving into a few more minor questions that I told you at the midpoint. I feel you should be able to tackle these. So let's jump into another of such questions, and we'll round up shortly. Here it is. You have been awarded a short project to install several demountable partitions for a huge company move. Parts of the installment were found to be defective, and change requests from the customer were approved for rework. During quality control, you ensure these changes are indeed in the revised deliverable. What is the derived output of these actions known as? All right, this should be an easy one if you have been in the world of the PMI long enough. And we throw in the PMI jargon every now and again just to test your loyalty to the process and the PMI lingo. The best answer to this is C. This is a verified deliverable. A goal of the control quality process is to determine the correctness of the deliverables. Now, while the PMI is not going to give you a verbatim question laden with processes and outputs, they do appear from time to time. So it is good for you to know thy process. Let's move on to the next one. Your firm has been awarded a project to design ways to harness a clean energy source. Midway in the project, there's a huge spike in labor cost as project engineers have demanded more pay. Why is it likely that the engineers could still leave the project? Is it A, salary, a hygiene factor, if increase doesn't necessarily motivate? B, salary is a key part of life and a Herzberg's motivator of teams. C, the work is too challenging and this is a Herzberg demotivator for the team. D, money is a hygiene factor which demotivates the team. All right, so let's stop the clock and check the answer to this one. The best answer, my friends, is not salary is a key part of life and a motivator. That is a false statement. So right off the bat, I am going to cancel B because it's false. C, the work is too challenging. Well, challenging work can actually be a motivator, so that's not true. D, money is a hygiene factor, which demotivates the team. No, salary is a hygiene factor, and if it's not available, could demotivate the team. So it got everything skewed in B, C, and D. The best option is a salary is a hygiene factor if increase doesn't necessarily motivate. We're almost done for the day. Just hang in there. We're going to take a look at a question from Risk. In your project, some equipment is to be shipped from another country by sea. The sea route is likely to encounter a storm during the shipment period, which could cause a delay of about 10 days. You identify that not having the equipment on site as scheduled could delay your project by about 2 months. It is therefore necessary to plan an alternate solution. You arrange with a local company that has the same equipment to lease it pending the time your own equipment reaches your site in case of shipment delays. This is an example of which risk management process. And I know it's a little bit of a long one, but let's take a look at the best answer. So think about it. Where are you right now and what are you doing? It says you arrange with a local company. See that? What are you doing when you are arranging with a local company? You're not in planning, you're boots on the ground doing stuff. So, using the process of elimination, you're not developing a risk management plan. Nope. And you are not merely monitoring. No, sounds like you're doing more than just looking. You're doing something, you're taking action. And this has nothing to do with EMV. It's not the expected monetary value. There's nothing like that in the question. So the best answer, project managers, is B. You've implemented a risk response. You've taken action. You've arranged with the company, hey, if this happens, to make sure that we got a cushion, something to fall back on, you've implemented your response plan, right? So you doing that, you've gotten the equipment. Let's not even get into the minutia, whether it's mitigate or whether it's transfer or whether it's accept. That's not the point. The point is we are taking action right now. Okay. Now, if you wanted to look a little bit below the surface and say, but Phil, what exactly are we doing? Well, think about it. It says you identify that not having the equipment on site as scheduled could delay your project. So, what are you doing? You are not avoiding the risk. You're not transferring the risk, right? Because you're leasing the equipment. They're not operating the equipment for you. So, it's not transfer. All you're doing is getting a backup. And that could still fail, but at least the risk is mitigated. Okay? My friends, we have almost gotten to the end, but this session wouldn't be complete without at least one more robust question on stakeholders. Okay? So, you are involved in the process of communicating and working with stakeholders to meet their needs or expectations, address issues as they occur, and foster appropriate stakeholder engagement in project activities throughout the project lifecycle. Despite your best efforts, the project stakeholders complain about unclear work assignments or work progress. What should you do next? Choose the two best options. Now, on your PMP exam, you're going to get some of those that say two best. So, what do you think? All right. Well, I hope this one was easy enough. So it says, despite your best efforts, project stakeholders complain about unclear work assignments or work progress. Two things: they don't understand what has been assigned to them. And secondly, the progress of work is unclear. The antidote to that: Kanban board. Transparency shows who is doing what, and a daily stand up to walk the board and see what work is where actually helps you understand work progress. In addition to other things, it's like a buy one, get one free. So the best options are C and D. Take a look at A, an additional daily end scrum. It doesn't even make sense. An additional daily, do you mean daily scrum? No. That doesn't make sense. And it's against the grain. Why not just talk about this in the daily scrum? Why do you need a second one, right? So this is not efficient in the world of Agile. And then use the sprint planning ceremony to discuss and resolve. That doesn't even make sense because sprint planning is way at the beginning of the sprint. So I would advise to get really good with the Agile terminology. When you get good with the Agile terminology, the events, and you understand what exactly is happening, becomes a lot easier for you to eliminate these bogus options because there's a whole lot of bogus options in this session of questions. And the PMI does similar on the exam. You have things that are bogus, things that they don't even make sense. You ask the question, why did they even put this here? Okay. So, my friends, I hope you have enjoyed this session. Again, for those of you who are getting ready for the PMP exam and you might be looking for assistance, for help, for clarity, and of course, you want a training program that is actually fun, like a training program that will not bore you out of your mind, you need to go to my program on Udemy. My program on Udemy, you can find it at tinyurl.com/elite PMP. Let's go there. Let me show you one more time. tinyurl.com/elite PMP. And if you're taking the CAPM exam and you just happen to be watching, you want to go to the site tinyurl.com/elite CAPM. All right, my name's Phil, and I've been your host, your trainer, your colleague, your friend, taking you through the journey. There's one more thing I'd like to do before we finish. So I talked about question anatomy. We've gone through question anatomy, right? And now we're going to go through strategy because when you take a look at question anatomy, what you generally have using one of these questions as an example, you have the story which tells you a lot about what is going on. And then you have ideally a red herring or you have gold, right? The gold could be the key that unlocks. The red herring is something to throw you off. The gold could be something to unlock the answer or to lock in the answer such that anything else is wrong. And then you have the grand question. I'll just say the GQ. The grand question is, what should the project manager do next, or when should this be defined, and things like that. A lot of the questions I gave you today was styled in the what should you do, or what does this mean, or things like that. So I mixed them up quite a lot. But regardless the question you get, there is an approach. I want to go over the approach to answering questions with you real quick. The approach, I featured this on the channel quite a lot, and I just call this the Dig Sieve approach. DIGCIV. Whenever you get a question, don't be hasty in grabbing at any old option. You got to think like this. You got to define the problem. Every question has a problem and a solution, but you want to define what the problem is. So let's make this bigger so that you can see what I'm writing on the screen. So whenever you get a question, always define the problem. Then you identify the root cause. Then you generate alternatives that make sense. Then you choose the best alternative. And you need to have a very good eye to see why certain options are bad. In fact, when you generate the alternatives in your head, there's going to be some that just will not come up. And they're there in the question as option B or C or something else. Well, you got to choose the best one. Okay. And then think about it like if this was in the real world, if I did implement this, would it solve the problem? Like the question that said, tell the stakeholders we can't do that. Does that solve the problem? Really? It doesn't. And then the last step is you got to verify that your solution actually worked. So in the real world, there's that extra few steps, but for your exam, you always should define what is the problem here, right? You should always ask, do I understand the problem in this question? That's define. Then identify what is causing the problem. Like someone says, you're running late, the schedule is delayed. What should you do? A, fast track. B, crash. C, analyze. Crashing and fast tracking are tempting, but you still don't know what the problem is. You're running late, but what is the problem? Will crashing solve it? It's not a given. Will fast tracking solve it? It's not a given, but you need to analyze. And when you analyze, then you know what's causing it. So the analysis, you want to put that in the mix. Generating alternatives and choosing the best. Those four, pretty much your exam success is going to rise and fall on how well you do those four. Okay. So, my friends, if this is your first encounter on the Praizion channel, I want you to smash the like button and subscribe. And I want you to take a look at the plethora of thousands of videos that we have on here. We have generally a video for everything from lean, the 7 ways, the ACP exam, if you're interested in that, Agile Manifesto, values, principles, Scrum, Kanban, TDD, ATDD, BDD, all sorts of stuff on this channel. So if this has been of help to you, smash that like button, check out the channel. Join me on LinkedIn. If you are on LinkedIn, you can always just follow the posts that I put out on LinkedIn. I put a ton of content out there, not only on YouTube, but also on other social media. So I encourage you to do that. There's my information. Okay. Take a look on LinkedIn. You'll find me, follow. I do a lot of lives on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for that engagement and that accountability, you will be able to get a whole lot of accountability. I would also advise check out the Project Leadership Institute channel. We actually have a channel for people who are now PMPs, and it's called Project Leadership Institute. So if you go to the Project Leadership Institute channel on YouTube, tons of videos about interviews and succeeding after your PMP exam. All right. I hope you found this to be useful. If you have any questions, feel free to put your questions there below, and I will answer as soon as possible. If you're watching on Instagram or LinkedIn, again, questions are always welcome. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye for now.